The Stardust Hour is a magnifying glass into philanthropic minds. Here you could learn about female talent, the divine feminine, women's leadership genius, and creative energy. I hope you will step into each inside story with an open mind so you could yourself reimagine who you could be next. Please join me, Marina Nani, on the Stardust Hour podcast for Rich Human magazine. The beautiful space where we have the privilege of getting to know each other and celebrate each other. I'm really grateful for knowing you, Aisha. The stage is yours and we are ready. Aisha, welcome home. I'm so happy to see you here. Tell us, what are we celebrating today?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, Dr. Marina, I want to thank you for throwing this baby shower for the book from bottom to top. I would like to thank you for your contribution in the book by writing the foreword for it. And I also want to thank you for everything that you just said. When you're in a project, when you're inside the project, you don't realize the effect. Sometimes you lose sight of the effect that this book is going to have on people. And just hearing your words right now almost is making me cry, because I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. And thank you so much for allowing the healing power of this book into your heart. Thank you so much for everything that you do and all the ways that you contribute to this world. Yes, I definitely want to thank you for that. I am Dr. Reverend Aisha Hogan, and I'm the founder and visionary of the International Academy of Universal Self-Mastery, which I lovingly coin IAUSM. And I built this community around the collaboration of all of its IAUSM mentors. This is a place where we speak together as one voice, each mentor being a cell in one body, so to speak, for the betterment of humanity and the students that come in and look for guidance from us. Because the whole project started during COVID, I noticed that suicide rates were really coming into focus for me, seeing how many people were ending their lives. Later, I realized that the numbers had tripled. And I've always wanted to help people who are in that situation because I've been there. So the purpose of this book, from bottom to top, is to tell our stories. Not everybody was suicidal in the book, but to tell our stories of those moments when we were in the depths of despair, when we felt like there was nowhere to turn, where we felt raw, where we felt naked, where we felt like we just didn't know what was going to happen anymore, and we were ready to give up. There are so many people ready to give up all the time, even before COVID in the world. And we wanted to create this book where we could show people that we've been there, we get you. We get you, and there are ways out. You don't have to stay there, and you're not alone there, even though you feel that way at times. So that's really what this book is about. And all of the proceeds of this book are going to be going to suicide intervention and prevention, both in Canada and the US, and in the UK. We're going to be finding charities that we will be contributing to. That's really the gist of the book. And I'm going to begin this amazing pre-launch with an excerpt from my own chapter in the book, and how I felt for almost all of my life until I was 45 years old. My chapter is called Love Equals Pain. My first memory is a flashback of when I was around 5. I know this because my sister was just born. I remember the living room in our apartment. My father was sitting on a red couch with a white flower pattern on it. The couch was under the window, and my mother was standing at the kitchen doorway wearing a white dress with a pattern of green leaves on it. I had asked my father if I could go outside and play. I apparently always wanted to go outside and play. So I was asking yet again if I could go outside. My father became extra angry with me that day and said no. I then made the mistake of asking why. And in my family, you didn't question my father. You simply did as you were told. That was the first time of many that I learned that lesson. I have flash memories of my head hitting the hardwood floor as my mother screamed for my father to stop. I remember my mother's dress being torn, and I remember my father's rage. I also remember being told that this was happening because he loved me. That's just a quick peek into my chapter of From Bottom to Top. And I would like to, right now, I am looking for Miss Bella Bliss. I'd like to introduce her and her chapter called Be Limitless. Bella, thank you for joining us. And she's a transformational coach, empowering women through trauma, transitions, and transformations as she intuitively guides them to lead in a more enriched, balanced, healthy, and purposeful life. She's passionate about creating joyful experiences by confidently helping her clients gracefully overcoming paralyzing fear, anxiety, and stuckness. Through a three-step be seen, be heard, be limitless process, her clients will awaken by shifting limiting belief perspectives, heal from within, and enhance relationship communication, trust intuition, and inner wisdom. Hi, Bella. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us too, Dr. Marina. This has been so wonderful. And I also enjoyed what you said about waiting for a miracle or become one. And really, that's what's happened with all of us in this book. So it's very much of a privilege to be here. Thank you. As Aisha had mentioned, Be Seen, Be Heard, and Be Limitless is the title of my chapter. Here is an excerpt. And there I was, in the middle of the bedroom, shaking, dazed, confused, battered, half-strangled, bruised, alone, no one to talk to, no one to ask for help. I sat on the cold, hard terracotta tile. No tears, no screaming, just silence. I honestly didn't know what just happened. It was like living in a scene of a sick, twisted movie, surreal. I never knew what would happen next. So bizarre. This happened in seconds. The ticking bomb went off again. Living with the man that I was married to was like living in a landmine for 20 years. Maybe more like dodging bullets, tiptoeing around the landmine, whilst doing my best to disarm the bomb before it goes off. But something felt different on this day. Something powerful overcame me as my energy shifted from a victim to a victor. I experienced a divine consciousness. I knew in my soul that this would be the last time that I would ever give my power away to someone else. And that's just a little preview of my chapter. Thank you.
Thank you, Bella. Wow. I mean, how many people can relate to that, a story like that? I know I can. So thank you for sharing that, Bella. I'm so excited about this book. I'm beside myself. Usually I have so much to say, and today I'm just feeling without words. I'd like to introduce to you now somebody who's, well, they're all dear to my heart, but you know, Gail Edwards has stepped up when it comes to IAUSM as she's part of our dream team. And she also introduced me to the wonderful Dr. Marina. So Gail Edwards, the name of her chapter is She Did It. Gail Edwards is an international award-winning global impact and brand strategist, author and speaker who empowers and educates impact entrepreneurs, conscious influencers, purpose-driven organizations to build impactful businesses through disrupting their personal brands, to build their identity, their authority within this marketplace. What Gail does with branding, she also does with baking. This is how she relaxes, and what we do is one thing we do in everything. I'm sorry, I don't even know what I just said there. Is how she relaxes. Hey, Gail.
That's
I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah.
what we do in one thing, we do in everything. So, yeah, you're quite right. My chapter is called She Did It, So You Don't Have to. And I was inspired to write this story really from a book that I had read myself. So I'm just going to give you a little excerpt from how this chapter that I wrote starts. And it says, you know how most stories start. They either build up the suspense through until the big reveal at the end, or they tell you the end, but work back so you can see how it all fits together towards a nice, neat ending. Well, I'm going to tell you the end right now, and it does not end either nicely or neatly. The end is that she died. And yes, she did kill herself. So clearly it's not me as I'm writing the story. So what has this got to do with me? It has everything to do with me. I remember hitting that rock bottom hard. I remember existing without hope. I'm not only speaking about the kind of despair that often leads to desperate and fatal measures. I'm talking about something just as sinister, but much less talked about and acknowledged. For the record, I have always been too much of a coward to take such drastic and permanent action. Instead, I lived with my discomfort, my anxiety, and ultimately my depression. I learned to live with those dark days because I felt helpless. During those days, I longed for, literally prayed for, the courage to release myself from the hell of my own mind. I imagined the release would be better than the permanent anguish and the lack of hope. And one of the worst afflictions on a human being is to take away their hope. It is a slow and painful death, which is why it is a torture favoured during wars and acts of terrorism. As I've already said, the end is that she did die and she took her own life. So how did I make this stop without her ending? The answer was in my beginning. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. When you're creating a book like this and putting it together, but actually hearing the words out loud and not just words on a page, how impactful. It's amazing. Thank you, Gail, for sharing that. I would like to speak to whose voice always hypnotizes me. She has an amazing voice, Miss Jules Hare, and her chapter is called The Voice from Within. She's playful and compassionate, and she is. She's an embodiment facilitator and speaker who reminds people about their purpose and their potential via connection with their bodies so that they have a life-changing experience. And she definitely does offer that for sure. Hey, Jules, how are you?
Hi, Aisha. Thanks so much for having me. Hi, everyone. Great to be here.
Thank you. And I would love, love, love to hear your chapter.
I would love to read it. Here we go. So the name of my chapter...
The Voice from Within.
Yes, The Voice from Within. Did you ever have to make up your mind? Pick up on one and leave the other one behind. It's not often easy, it's not often kind. Did you ever have to make up your mind? I didn't get to hear anymore. I was blindsided by a train engine full of emotions. You have to break up with Greg. I don't know if I audibly heard this or if it came directly from my inner voice, but whatever it was holding up the loudspeaker, volume turned up high, ready to blast again, even louder if I wasn't listening. There was no ignoring this voice. I had just arrived home to park the truck. Miraculously, I couldn't remember the last 2 minutes of the drive. And as I stopped the engine and commenced bawling, it was one of those big releases, you know, the ones where your body rocks back and forth, where your sobs are uncontrollable. You're at their mercy, and you have no choice but to open up the floodgates to vomit sadness, pain, and sorrow, not to mention tears and snot, out of every available channel of your body. There was a flurry of narratives racing around inside my head. It's not fair. I want to be with him. He hasn't done anything wrong. This is completely unjustified. I can't break up with him. There's no good reason. I don't want to. Why? I love him. He's what I want. There were various forms of this same story repeating themselves and getting tangled up inside one another inside my head. It was my heart, though. That was the loudspeaker's location. And its message was unwavering, although it felt much less like a train crash it had embodied only moments earlier. I have no idea how long I was there in the cab of my little truck, but nobody was around, and I stepped out and felt my feet contact the gravel. I suddenly felt more stable. Thank you, Aisha.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you, Jules. I listen to these, right? I just keep saying this. I listen to these and they're just like rocking my world right now. How did I hold on to this book for a year? I've been working on this for a year and we've gone through so many ups and downs. I think the book itself went from bottom to top. We were writing the book and then we got all the chapters together. And as Dr. Marina said, we had a huge issue with the publishing company and all of a sudden the book looked like it wasn't going to happen and all of these things. And then all of a sudden, Dr. Marina walked into our world and we said, we can do this. And I started IAUSM Publishing House and all of these things that we didn't think were going to happen. And the book hit bottom. The book itself hit bottom and is now rising to its top. And it's becoming more and more evident as I listen to each one of these excerpts. So thank you. Thank you for that, Jules, and the rest of the authors that are joining in today. So let's move on to the next one, Miss Joy King. So her chapter is called I Love and Respect Myself. And Joy King is a person who is always in demand. I've known this woman for a long time. She wrote the word busy, but I say she's in demand. And she likes to live life to its fullest. She goes all over the world to help people and to teach and to bring her love and kindness everywhere. She is an extensive traveler, even during the pandemic. And she is a musician extraordinaire. She sings. She's a retired educator. She's a Tulum tribe member. She's a wonder grandma. She's super well known for her sense of humor, but there's things here that she didn't write about herself. And she, like I say, she goes to Nicaragua every year and she helps there in all of the areas that need help and attention and love. So what a wonderful woman. Hey, Joy, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much, Aisha. I feel so worthy. More. I deserve it.
You do. You do deserve it.
I love being a part of this community. This is amazing. And this is my first time. And I was listening this morning a little bit as well. Well, my compatriots, my co-authors chose during. I'm going to go with the end or the beginning of my transition with my excerpt that I called I Love and Accept Myself for Who I Am at This Moment. It's the chapter title is actually a little shorter, but here's what I wrote in my chapter. When the pandemic hit in March of 2020, I was 2 months into my teaching in Mexico, practicing Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations and exercising with yoga every morning in my small apartment in Cuernavaca. I was so proud of what I had accomplished, But the forced return to Canada set me back, and although I continue with everything, it was sporadic at best, and I began to sink again. I took a job at the local hospital as a screener for the patients coming through the door in an emergency, a paid position for the duration of the pandemic. I was reading and watching YouTube videos of Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, and other light workers as I sat at the door, protected by the walls and glass of the 6x6 cubbyhole provided for all screeners. After Christmas, I worried about my depression returning, despite the fact that I was still taking the medication and doing the work. Through Dr. Joe's Facebook group that I had joined weeks before, I found a student who offered smaller group meditations. I started Zoom meditations with her group and became relaxed and more confident. After 2 group sessions, I called Andrea and asked to become a private student. I registered at the end of January and was thrilled to have another therapist. With Andrea's guidance, I've gone deeper in discovering who I really am as we combine the private coaching with the group lessons and sound healing, crystals, high frequency foods, perfect day movies, breathing exercises, grounding, sun gazing, and of course, meditation. I increased my learning by voraciously reading book after book about trauma, overcoming fear, becoming a better self, manifesting money, gratitude, and abundance. I am waiting for the universe to send more my way. My daily mantra has become, I love and accept myself for who I am right now. I recite it every day. I am at the best moment in my young life, and I am blossoming into my best self. Thanks for the journey, and thank you for listening.
Awesome. Awesome. I tend to think, we talk about the ultimate purpose. We're always all looking for purpose, right? What is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? How am I supposed to be contributing to this world? What is it that we can do? Blah, blah, blah. All those things. We all feel it, right? And every client I've ever worked with has said the same thing. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I want to find my purpose. And as I've grown through making IAUSM and this book and everything in the last 2 years that has happened, the one thing that I have to say that I've understood is our ultimate purpose. And in my opinion, what I feel our ultimate purpose is to be able to go inside, is to be able to connect with the creation that we are, and is to be able to be the best versions of ourselves and make new commitments and drop those commitments that no longer serve us. And as we each become a better person, how such a better way to contribute to everyone. And I think really feel, we're all going to contribute in different ways, but first we have to contribute to ourselves and really become the best that we can be and grow in each moment and allow that to happen and be open to all the possibilities of how it just gets better every day. And I think honestly, that's probably our ultimate purpose, because if we're all there, then humanity can't help but get better. Humanity can't help but just be better and more cohesive. And so thank you, yes, Joy, for sharing that, and another great chapter. So I'd like to introduce to you now Dagmara Pluta. And she's from, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, I'm sorry. Dagmara Pluta is a counselor, intuitive therapist, a soul alchemist, public speaking trainer, and she's a life coach. She creates a safe space for people to heal what hurts and doesn't work, to grow from their experiences and their learnings and blossom in alignment with their authentic self. She promotes trust in her own knowing, owning your talents, your capacities, your potency. I love that word, potency. And from that space, contributing to others and the well-being of this beautiful planet Earth. Hey, Dagmara, how are you?
Hi, Aisha. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the amazing introduction. Thank you for the wonderful, wonderful project and organizing everything, publishing the book. and being part of this community. Thank you so much. I feel so, so grateful.
Well, you know what? We all should be grateful. You know, grateful is it's just. Oh, I know I'm feeling that way right now, and I'm grateful that you're all here, and I'm grateful where we've been going with this. So, Dagmara, please do share your excerpt from your chapter.
Thank you. Okay, so the title of my chapter is Finding Your True Self, and it talks about the moment when I went through toxic marriage and then a divorce. So, despite seeing all these differences, I still somehow hoped that it could work out. I was so blinded by the desperate need for the love, comfort, and safety that he was giving me that I kept going. We moved in together and made plans to travel together for the whole summer. Before we traveled, we had two biggest and most painful arguments I've ever had in my life. I never in my whole life felt as hurt, betrayed by a man on the level of values and possible life choices, and so disappointed. I never cried and screamed so much. Yet, after I calmed down and a couple of weeks passed, I was somehow ready to put some things aside, pretending they were not there, and still continue for a while. Definitely travel, and then most likely finish the relationship once we would return. I did not want to lose the financial investment, yet I did not realize the energetic cost that these choices would have had later on me and my life to come. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, thank you for sharing that. You know, it's funny when we have relationships, we hold on to them sometimes for all the wrong reasons. So, yes, I know I've done it. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Dagmara.
Bahrain, tiny island right next to Saudi Arabia and UAE. So yes, Bahrain.
Okay, well, I would also, in this moment, I would like to introduce to you, we're going to move to another part of the planet now, and I would like to introduce to you Deanne Cairns. She is the founder of the Empowered Fearless Females in the social community, in the social media community. Her mission is to empower women to understand and recognize their strengths and their power within, to gain insight over their instilled fears and self-doubt. Hello, Miss Deanna.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Aisha. My name is Deanna Kearns. I am thrilled to be a part of this summit, let me tell you. I know we all put in such hard work getting our voices out to the public. And a special thank you so much, Dr. Marina, for this event. I feel very, very privileged. And I am, yes, the founder of Empowered Fearless Females, because so many women still suffer with internal secrets, shame, or guilt. And my purpose is for them to finally recognize how limiting beliefs affect their present life, to remove and understand their shadows of fears, struggles with insecurities, low self-esteem, and feeling unworthy. So with that said, I will read a snippet of my book. I had to shed the fears of self-doubt and find my true purpose in life, to recognize my power within. For me, that was a heavy burden to bear. I suffered most of my life with a very serious problem. I had low self-esteem, insecurities, self-doubt, and fear. I did not feel worthy of anyone's love and did not believe I was worthy to receive it. As a middle child of 3 girls, I felt invisible. I was the firstborn that had all the privileges. nor was I the youngest that had all the attention. Therefore, as the middle child, I lived in their shadows and was ignored. I was pushed aside, suffered verbal, emotional, and physical abuse. I never fit in and was told I didn't matter. So I isolated myself to avoid any confrontation and abuse. I never felt loved or special. Never did I hear praises for doing something good. I felt like the black sheep of the family. I remember every time I would get ready for a date, my sisters would laugh at me saying I looked terrible, which left me, of course, self-conscious, and I had a terrible feeling about my body image. And due to my fears of not feeling worthy to have a good time, my evening was ruined. I felt less than. This feeling of low self-esteem continued through most of my young life, affecting adult behaviors, beliefs, and thoughts, impacting my life in all areas of being. Basically, I had given up all hope to be a part of a happy, loving, supportive family and life. Ultimately, I became a shell of a woman. Thank you. And that's just part of it.
Thank you for sharing that. Hello, Dr. Dave Hillis. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
I am good. I am good. So, you are a lifestyle engineer and have founded Dolphin Healing Hands as your private practice where you combine the skills and modalities that you've gathered over the years, including 26 years in the mental health field. 12 years in emergency medicine, 20 years of massage therapy to help your clients overcome a wide range of physical, mental, and emotional challenges, utilizing medical, metaphysical, and energy therapies to achieve outstanding outcomes. And you facilitate clients to heal their past, empower their presence, and create the future that they choose. Wow, you're awesome.
Well, duh, I'm on I Awesome, on the whole platform where we're all awesome.
Right?
It's the ticket to get in where the cool kids are.
That's where all the cool kids are playing, yes. Awesome, awesome. All right, so Dave, I'd love to hear your excerpt.
Well, this is a part that I really love being able to share the story of each one of our co-authors as they've risen through the ashes and created their own phoenix and all of those wonderful things. But something that when we get into the arena about suicide and how somebody gets there, there's many ways, but there's a general knowing that there isn't a coping strategy necessary or that they need to be able to move past and not take that action. This is something that I love working with folks. So that's never part of the equation. So in the book, my chapter is called Flexing Your Roll With It Muscle. It's my belief and truth that we as humans have scheduled in this lifetime many scenarios and scenes to experience the full spectrum of the human condition. While we attempt to navigate through all of these events, becoming abundantly clear that this human, if they do not have appropriate coping strategies for all of the full exploration of these life events, in no time at all, that human will develop out of a necessity alternative ways to attempt to survive out of that very specific event, or most times that strategy is not intended by our subconscious mind to be a long-standing one. More often, that pattern of coping is then applied by the subconscious mind again and again as various events that are not appropriate for the same reason, but ultimately falling short and having inadequate or unhealthy management of those life events. So it's super important for us to be able to, and I think that's what the whole aim of this book is, to be able to give as many examples of how we all have that roll with it muscle, so that everyone can now have even more in their toolbox to be able to find what they need so that it fits for them, it feels right for them, and they can begin that Phoenix transition. So, hoping that all of our authors here, by us sharing our times in our deepest, darkest places, how we ourselves had to go through that, not just being an expert in it, but in our life, our personal lives, how we were able to do that. And it's not to talk about I made it and how great am I. It's more about I have no idea if this is going to work for you, but please let me share it in case it might give you something. And that's what I know all of these authors, especially getting behind the scenes of most of these chapters already. It's just amazing. There's something in this book for everyone that they will be able to find inspiration that they can continue holding on until we get to the next breath, the next step, into the next event, and hopefully to the next miracle. Thank you, Aisha, and everyone that's participating today. I love you all.
Thank you. Mad love for you too, Dave. Mad love for you too. You know, you are right. You know, different things take us to our bottom, right? As I move slowly into with the next author right now, but many things take us to our bottom. It could be a separation, it could be a death, it could be an illness, it could be an accident, it could be dysfunction growing up in our childhood. It could be coming back from serving in the military. There's so many things that can take us to our bottom. And you're right. This book has so much to offer everyone. And the more I hear these chapters, that's becoming more and more evident. I would like to introduce to you now Miss Desiree Holmes Sharini. And she has a chapter called Trust Your Inner Voice. And Desiree is a freedom fighter for all the pent-up potential and personal power in each of us. By setting herself free, she has led herself to become an award-winning, board-certified master transpersonal hypnotherapist and life coach, as well as an author, she has a podcast and a YouTube show host who focuses on helping others build personal intuition and teaches them how to follow their heart. Her own experiences have led her on the path to help others navigate their pitfalls and move more slowly into their own life mastery and freedom. Desiree appreciates the energies that surround us and incorporates this with spirit, mind, and body into her work with clients and in her own life. And she's another one who is a dear friend of mine. Hey, Desiree.
Hi, Aisha. I'm glad I'm here, and I'm really enjoying hearing everyone's chapters. I can't wait to read the whole book. So thank you, everyone else, for participating.
I am really super excited to hear your excerpt from your chapter.
Thank you. Yeah, it was difficult, kind of choose this one or that one, but I chose one kind of out of the beginning of the middle, and I'll just go ahead and read that now. I know that many people, women especially, can relate to self-esteem issues around appearance. Magazines, television, the music industry, cosmetic companies, and more. Our society puts a great deal of emphasis on our outside appearance. With the addition of my past quote-unquote fat history and mother's messages, I was ripe for feeling less than I was. So when boys became an interest, I found I was quite good at making myself into what they were interested in. I wanted to be liked, and I decided the best way to get that was to become what they like. After all, I knew they wouldn't really like me. This was emphasized by another message I got from my fearful mother: boys only want sex. She would accuse me of having sex when I was out long before I had any interest in it. My sister had an accidental pregnancy in her last year of high school, so I inherited the fearful response of my mother. When I did have a first boyfriend, my mother tried protecting me by telling me, "He doesn't really care about you, he just wants you for sex." So began my relationship with men. If I wanted to have a boyfriend or a husband, I better offer him something more than just me. He doesn't want me. So I continued to hone my chameleon skills.
Awesome. Right? How much do we change ourselves for other people? For sure. Absolutely. The one thing you said there that just sort of triggered a memory for me when we were writing this book is the one thing that authors said to me all the way through this was, Aisha, I'm finding it really hard to write this book or write my chapter. And it was because we've all been through a lot. And so it's number one was picking the moment that we were going to share in this chapter, but also writing it was so healing for every author. We'd been through it. We're sitting down and actually writing it, writing the chapter, writing about our journey was healing in itself for each and every author. So that was a really, really cool thing that came out of this book as well. So thanks, Desiree, for sharing that.
You're welcome. Thank you, Aisha.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We move on to Monique. Monique. Her chapter is called My Healing Journey. And she is IAUSM's EFT tapping and tranquility and stress management mentor. She is passionate about helping others navigate the ups and the downs of life and finding peace and self-acceptance in the process. Using EFT tapping as her modality of choice, Monique recognizes that even though the work is ours to do, you can be held and supported during your process of transformation. And IAUSM is the ideal vehicle to do just that. Thank you, Monique, for joining us, and thank you for those kind words about IAUSM.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Dr. Marina. Thank you, everybody on this call. I just want to start by saying, Aisha, you mentioned earlier on that we're all looking for our purpose. And what it dawned on me that this really is so much part of my purpose in terms of being able to share my story along with other people. So very grateful for this amazing opportunity. I'm going to start my little excerpt here. I remember that day well. It was a Sunday morning in late 2018 when my partner and I headed out on our weekly 3-kilometer walk around the lake. We so enjoyed greeting the day this way, elevating our heart rates while enjoying the sight, smells, and sounds of nature. Breathing in the fresh, slightly chilled fall air made us feel alive and grateful to be able to move with ease. We walked side by side, he to the right and me to the left, enjoying the rhythmic movement of our coordinated steps, engaged in conversation about the future. It has been said that it only takes a split second to change the course of one's life. While deeply engaged in conversation, I glanced to my right and noticed a little side trail leading to a forested area. Highly attracted to trees, I decided it would be nice to veer to the right onto the forested path. Unfortunately, I had forgotten to vocalize my intention, so my partner was unaware and continued walking in the same direction. Because I had been on his left side up until then, when I turned my body to veer off towards the path, I ended up tripping over his foot, totally losing my balance and falling swiftly to the ground with the back of my head and neck hitting it hard. I vaguely remember the feeling of disbelief while I was in transit, as if in slow motion, and my partner's frantic attempt to reach out to catch me. And then boom, everything went dark. After losing consciousness for several moments, I tried to reorient myself to the present moment and get back up. I suddenly became aware of the pain in my left elbow, finding out later that I had fractured it in my attempt to soften my landing. As I tried to steady myself, my partner began to lead me to a nearby bench. After taking a few tentative steps, I once again lost consciousness and dropped through my knees to the ground, right in the middle of the asphalt walking path. Alarmed onlookers asked if everything was all right. We told them yes, when really I was far from okay. To make things worse, I saw that my partner was in a somewhat panicked state, having noticed my somewhat vacant eyes. To him, I seemed to be off in another world. He was not wrong. I was. That's the end of my story.
Thank you so much, Monique. And yeah, one moment can change everything, right? Sometimes one moment can change everything. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. I'm moving over to the amazing Olivia Whiteman. The title of your chapter is Journaling Saved My Life. Olivia is an organizational life architect. She specializes in helping people achieve their goals. She's a member of IAUSM, where she offers a course in journaling for success. She's also a 2-time best-selling author. She's so grateful for all she has accomplished, as a car accident left her with short-term memory, an inability to stay focused, and fatigue. Despite setbacks, she believes we all have superpowers. We just have to persevere. She lives and she lives in the United States. So thank you so much, Olivia, for joining us today. And yeah, like, that's a challenge, right? It's another one of those moments. You have this car accident and it completely changes everything in your life as you know it. So thank you for being here, Olivia.
Thank you so much for putting this together. I actually was listening to Dr. Marina before this event on Clubhouse because I just found her and she was really great. And then Gail became part of IAWSOM, and I started following her and getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. This group and what you're doing this week has been awesome. I've been listening as much as possible since it started last night, or is it the night before? But it's been really wonderful, and I appreciate. When I found out Dr. Marina was doing the forward, I was really excited. I just love who she is, because I hear that she listens to everyone. She's not just, present, hoping that she's present. She wants to connect with everyone. And the same thing is for Aisha in IAWSM. IAWSM has been one of the gifts of my life, because as she said, I had a car accident, and I met people like Monique, as she didn't have a car accident, but she had an accident that left her with some cognitive issues. It was really great when I was building my course to have people help me with some of the things I didn't understand. And that's what you want. You want not just a community of people who have intelligent knowledge to share, and IAWSM has so many great courses, but you also want people who are kind, who have compassion, who going to do that extra step. And that's what I find in being in IAWSM, and I feel so grateful to be part of this book. I hope that the messages for people, no matter what it is that they're struggling to, will hit a note for people, and someone will say, yes, I get that, I was like that, and if they could do it, so could I. So here's my excerpt. Using my journaling is the best gift I could have given myself. With the help of friends and proofreaders, it allowed me to finish not one, but 2 more books. And now I'm working on another, Courage to Focus, The Scattered Brain Solution. My journal lets me realize that my brain works best early in the day. It allowed me to get clearer on what other tasks besides writing I needed help with, and not to hold back asking for help. It reminded me to stop trying to do too much in one day, and it showed me that taking breaks during the day left me with more energy at the end of the day. It enabled me to see in black and white what I needed to eliminate, do more of, or shift. I think of my journal as my companion to multiple successes. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you so much. Journaling literally did save your life. When you can't focus, it's a great tool. It's a great tool for everyone for lots of reasons, but they can learn that from you in IAWSM, which is great. What I'd like to do right now, and I'm going to move back to Miss Bella Bliss. During our journeys, we always come up with 1 or 2 tips or strategies, things that we learned and that we have to make sure that everybody knows. It's something that we like to share with everyone. What is that for you, Bella?
Well, since this is related to suicide and suicide prevention, I think it's really important for people to realize that joy is our birthright. I think most of the time people think that the way that they grew up or the way their life was or is or their circumstance is the way that it's going to be, or maybe that they're not enough, or the suffering somehow becomes normal for them. But what I've learned is it's not. It's far from where and who we are. And what I would say is to definitely not hold the secret inside. I was in such a toxic relationship that I was so embarrassed to tell anybody. And so for 20 years, I just kept it all inside. And who does that hurt? That hurts myself. When we keep things so deep and dark in us, it holds power on us. We're giving our power to those secrets and those powerful things that hold us back from who we are. So what I would definitely say is what I've learned is that when we bring those things to light, when we share those things with other people, like how all of us are sharing today, but most of all, if there's something that you're too afraid of saying, it's important that you share. It's important. It's the first step of healing is when you do that. And really, there's nothing too dark or too deep to share. The right people are going to be able to help and to listen. And that was one of the things that I didn't realize, that I could actually get help. I just felt hopeless and helpless in my situation. And I feel like most of the people who have taken their lives, or most of the people that are here, have been in that spot at one point. And I would just say definitely to share that so that it does not have the control over you, and you bring that darkness into light and heal, because joy is our birthright. All of us are deserving of joy. All of us are enough. All of us are worth it. All of us mean something to the world, and our beautiful gifts and talents is what we need to give back. My Be Seen, Be Heard, Be Limitless talks about being seen as acknowledge your feelings. That's one of the things I think that we don't do half the time. We just want to be accepted or be loved or be this and be that, but we need to acknowledge our own feelings. We need to be heard. So we need to let go and break our old patterns, and that goes with the limiting beliefs. And we need to know that we're limitless, because I honestly believe that we are spiritual beings in our awkward human experience. So that we are limitless, that we need to remember that. And we need to discover what we want, and we need to just go for it. So
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you, Bella. Wow. Yes, you are. Yes, I'm in agreement with you for sure on all of that. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. A lot of times when we're keeping a secret, we're keeping it for the other person. We're keeping it because we feel shame. And the one thing I've learned with all the dangerous mistakes and situations I've put myself in my own life is those are the things that have held me back from my healing, were those secrets, and the secrets that shame us, for sure. Absolutely. Jules, what would you like to share?
First, I want to say thanks to Bella. I was like, ooh, that's a whole bunch of great points that I'll try not to go over as well, because I know we can all agree and resonate with what you just said, Bella. Thanks for that share. Well, funny enough, when it comes to my experience, I specialize in pediatrics. I love working with kids and families. And I wrote a book recently because I so much love sharing, very similar to what Bella said, is the stop, look, and listen. So having somebody stop for you, being seen and being heard are all along the same line. So when it comes to the body, when we grow up, when we're going through primary school and high school, etc., what happens is we're not really ever taught to be aware of the fact that our body is speaking to us, that the feelings that we're having are unique to us, and that that voice inside of our head isn't necessarily true. It's just a voice of old programming. And when we start to actually acknowledge our own body's language, when we start to listen to that which is moving through us separate from the pattern, when we look at the programming and instead of thinking of it as being true and real, but we look at it as being a story, then we can interact with it in an entirely different way, when we can have a new relationship with our body. And so I would say that one of the biggest tips that I have found to be most powerful in my life and with my clients is actually listening to the story that is being told and using curiosity and using compassion and just acknowledging it as a story and then asking some questions and being curious. And it's so powerful what we can do when we can take our judgment glasses off and just see it in a whole new light, and being supported by somebody else in an environment of people, or maybe it's just one person, or in a community like IAUSM, where we're not trying to fix it or solve it. We're just there to look at it and acknowledge it. And when that's allowed to happen and it's allowed to just exist in you and supported in its existence, not because it's right or wrong, but just because it is, it's part of the story, then we can move forward with it in a different way. And that's what I find to be most impactful, is that having someone close to us. I need that person. We all need that person. I was just doing a psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy course, and Gabor Mate said, "It's the trauma doesn't happen with the experience. The trauma happens when the experience happens and there's no one there to support you." And that's why any facilitator is phenomenal if they can be there with curiosity and compassion to just listen and ask questions, because then you can be supported in your experience. That I find is the most powerful, because you can't be judgmental if you're being curious. Thanks so much for playing with me, guys.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you. And of course, you're outdoors. You're always outdoors. You're such an outdoorsy. She's always outside. It's awesome. And just like Bella said, we all deserve a little joy. So I'm going to go to Joy right now. What are your favorite tips and strategies to give people joy?
Well, sense of humor, number one. We need to learn to laugh at ourselves, with others. I find that I really need to start the day with something positive, and it is, if it isn't a laugh, it's a long meditation or a walk, or sometimes Wordle that keeps me laughing. But I think that if you're in a high frequency from the moment that you wake up in the morning, until you lay your head on the pillow, it's difficult because there are so many things coming at you during a day. It really helps to focus, to breathe, and to remember that we're in a place where we just get to live and we just get to experience, and nothing lasts forever. I went through my life as a young woman with 4 children, and everything was important. If a fingernail broke, or if my child forgot his lunch and I had to drive it out, everything was important. And as I get into the work that I'm doing now, I look back on that and say, like, all those things that I worried about and I fretted about and wasted the energy on dwelling on them. I've got to put that into perspective. Yes, it happened. Yes, I accept that. But I really am in a place right now where I'm able to sit back and enjoy the fruits of my labor, to contemplate, to be so totally filled with gratitude and love for what I endured in the 62 years of my life. I'm just in awe of everything that I see. I'm appreciating a lot more. If I don't appreciate it, I have to bring some kind of a pardon the pun, I have to bring some kind of a joy to it. And if that's a funny quip, or if that's something that I can laugh about, or it's a letting go and allowing the love to enter my heart that I know is going to increase my frequency. In summary, enjoy every minute of every day. Enjoy. God, my mom was so smart when she called me Joy, because I'm just realizing that now. I'm hearing everybody talk about joy and thinking, oh, they're talking about me. No, they're talking about another joy, but it's a universal joy, and we really need to keep that in our lives, especially now when everybody talks about things that are going on in the 3D world. I think it's really important to keep a smile on your face, a light step, just have fun, joke around, be yourself, love everyone. I love each of you. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to move over to Diana Kearns. And if you could give us your favorite tip or strategy.
After listening to so many women so far, it appears that there's so many different voices, but our feelings and our thoughts are almost exactly the same. And what I like to tell my clients is embrace your past, because in reality, your past, your trauma, your fears, they're also your strength. And I think it's so important to understand those were learning lessons. And if we believe in a higher power and we take note of everything we've gone through, so many times women don't give themselves the credit they deserve. They have a million arms and do a million things, yet we allow our limiting beliefs from childhood to affect who we are as an adult. And because of that, they get fear, shame, guilt. But no, I think it's so important to let them understand, embrace what you went through. It's who you are today, powerful and strong. And what I like to say to all my women is, you create the you want to be. So live for every moment. For me, every single night, I take the time to do, I call my pondering moments, where I reflect on my day. I reflect what I did or what I could have done differently. And I also remind myself to be grateful for everything that happened to me, because it made me the woman I am today. And it is so important for women to understand it and accept it, and realize how important and wonderful they are and worthy they are for this. I just want all women to understand how special they are, that they are unique, that they can understand that their being can help somebody else. That is powerful, and they are strong and loving. And I hope every woman understands that, because we all have a special, unique quality. So that's what I have to say. And I want to thank everybody for sharing today.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you so much, Diana, for sharing that. And you're right. We got to understand the power that we are, and that we are all worthy. There's no such thing as unworthiness. Okay, so there is one author, one of the authors that was going to be speaking today that did manage to join us. I'm just going to divert over to her for a moment. Jillian Stevens. Jillian has a chapter in the book called Hidden in Plain Sight. Well-being has been Jillian's lifelong pursuit, personally, professionally, and as of now, a retired high school educator, just like Joy here, and a guidance counselor. She's confronted with a mental health crisis due to an intensely emotional separation. She realized to support her children and students, she needed to prioritize her health. Passionate about helping others, her books provide hope and support for helpers who feel overwhelmed with job's demands and the breakneck speed of life. Jillian believes one choice, one action at a time, will create the flourishing life we deserve and transform the world, and to lead by example. She helps others by sharing her lived experiences and wisdom in presentations and providing guidance to individuals, encouraging them to move from victim to victor. Hi, Jillian.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. I am great. Thank you for joining us. I know this is your first time on Clubhouse, I think.
No, it's not, but I haven't been on in such a long time, and you got to have a sense of humor when this technology stuff messes up.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So please share a little bit of your chapter with us.
Happy to. Rushing to my counseling appointment, I forced myself to be optimistic about this one. I'd been let down before. However, now at my breaking point, I was taking a chance again. I vulnerably disclosed my concern about the children's father drinking while driving and how I was at my absolute wit's end to stop it. I shared, and she listened intently, head nodding appropriately, and I allowed myself to relax, believing she got it. And then, all hope of being understood, trust, and emotional safety gone. If you let this continue, I'll report you to Family and Children's Services. Eyes screwed shut and burning erupted throughout my body as I attempted to hold back tears and not fall apart in front of the counselor I'd just met. My mind reeled and my feelings ricocheted from shock to anger, to defeat, to rage, to despair. My inside voice belligerently shouted, "If I let them, what don't you understand?" as I sat defeated on her couch. It was completely unfathomable to me that I, the responsible parent, had to repeatedly advocate the courts for our children's safety. I was between a rock and a hard place, morally doing what's right for our children and seeking support in the courts, while at the same time having to adhere to a legal document that upheld his parental rights of visitation, even though they were in harm's way. The kicker was that I'd be held in contempt of court if I didn't honor the custody arrangement as specified in our separation agreement. I'd sought the emotional and moral support I desperately needed, and now she was threatening to report me. I literally felt all remaining hope and energy drained from my body. How did I get here? Growing up in a middle-class family, I had no frame of reference for alcohol dependency. Naively, the image I had of an alcoholic, probably from the movies or television, was that of an incoherent, slovenly person drinking from a bottle hidden in a paper bag, likely having pissed themselves in an alley. He was not that.
Thank you. Wow. Wow. Right. When we're in situations that we feel, like you said, rock in a hard place. What do? We think we're doing the right thing. We feel we are. Absolutely. Thank you, Jillian, for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's another way that we hit bottom, right? Somebody hits the bottle and we hit bottom. Isn't that a kicker? So absolutely, I get that. Gail, I want to hear from you, my friend. I have not heard from you in a while.
Oh, bless you. Bless you, bless you, bless you. I'm sitting here listening to all of these wonderfully amazing stories and just knowing that we have all of these stories and amazing people in one space within IAUSM and within this wonderful book that's about to be published from bottom to top. And I just wanted to add a little bit more onto what I was talking about in terms of my chapter. My excerpt was the very beginning, and I talked about the anxiety and the depression, and listening to so many other stories where, and even since then, where we talk about what are the tips that we've learned that can help another person. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that within my story, I go on to talk about the things that led me into that dark place in the first place, what led me there and what kept me there. And one of the things that kept me there is the same that each and every person has been speaking about. It's the shame. the shame of feeling like this, especially when you have a life like I had at that time, where I had the most amazing longed for baby girl. I had to everyone else from the outside what looked like an incredible marriage. I had this amazing lifestyle. If you're going to measure lifestyle by the trappings and material things, then I had that. But within me, there was always something, there was that hole. And I felt ashamed to let people know that I had that hole. Because I was ashamed to let them know, that hole just got bigger and bigger. I thought I was covering it up. But in reality, it was just getting bigger and bigger. It was a gaping hole until I could hide it no longer. And eventually my marriage did fail. Of course it did. It's a lot to ask one person to be responsible for everything for you in terms of your mental health and your self-esteem and your well-being. That's not their job. That's our job. That was my job. That wasn't his job. So of course our marriage failed. So then I was faced with bringing up my daughter on my own, having to literally gather up the shrapnel of what looked like an amazing lifestyle, have to gather that up and try and assemble it back together and try and pretend that everything was okay. And it was the shame. It was the shame that made me think that I could gather up the shrapnel. And it was the shame that wouldn't let me tell anybody else that I wasn't doing very well. I wasn't coping. And I'd love to be able to say that that lasted for a short period of time, and then I got myself together, and here I am now with my superwoman, superhero cape. I'd love to be able to say that, but I'd be lying. I'd be lying. Because whilst that may have happened 12 years ago, may even be 13 now, actually, I stopped counting, but whilst that may have happened quite some time ago, there are still splinters of that shrapnel in my life. Yes, things have improved, but there are still splinters. And the shame is what keeps those splinters hidden. But that shame is also the same thing that has made me really be so committed to people being themselves, being their authentic selves, being able to be one person, not one person at work and one person at home, not one person in their business on social media and one person sitting around the dining table. No, to be the same person wherever they are. It's made me really committed to that because that was my story. So the one thing I've learned through everything else, through that dark night of the soul experience and coming out the other end, the one thing I've learned more than anything else is that my test is my testimony. Because everything that I have been through, everything that I have been through is now in me in such a way that it comes out of me to help and serve others. I hosted a session here on this summit earlier on today, and every woman that spoke in that session, every single person that spoke in that session, it was quite evident they too were their own testimony from the test that they had been through. My slither of hope for anyone listening is it doesn't matter what you're going through. And I know it may feel hard, it may feel challenging, but you can trust with absolute certainty that you are going to be the light for somebody else. You're going to be that hand that reaches out to someone else and they're going to grab hold of it so tightly because they're going to believe and trust that you can help them, and you will be able to help them because of what you're going through. Thank you for giving me that space. And I just know without a shadow of a doubt that this book is going to become such a Bible of hope for so many. It starts with us, yes, but it's going to ripple out to so many others. Where we can't even reach physically, this book is going to reach. And I'm so proud to be a part of that. So thank you. That's me, and I'm done for now.
How do you give a standing ovation in Clubhouse?
You flash your mic. Oh dear. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Yes. Right? The shame. It's funny, when I did all the work that I did for myself in my own healing journey, one of the triggers that showed up years and years later, because one of the things I do is help people, heal their triggers, find them and heal them. And I was working on myself as well. And one day, a Saturday afternoon, I was doing a process for myself, and the word humiliation came up. And I thought about that word, and I'm like, humiliation. I must be doing this wrong. What is humiliation? How is that? How is this humiliation? How is that part of it? I wasn't the one who did that stuff to me. And I closed my eyes for a minute, and the universe and creator is a wonderful thing. And I was like, how, why, what is humiliation? What does that mean to me? And I was starting to get those old Polaroid pictures. I was getting these Polaroids of what humiliation meant in my life. And I was humiliated because I was beat up in locker rooms. I was humiliated because I was hiding in cubicles so I wouldn't get beat up after school. I was humiliated because my family wasn't like the other families, or so I thought. I was humiliated that I would go home and love equaled pain. I was humiliated because I wasn't good enough at anything, and I was the black sheep. And I was humiliated because I wasn't popular in school. And I started thinking about all these reasons why humiliation was a trigger for me. And I never ever thought that word, that thing wasn't one of my triggers, but it was a huge trigger for me. Just people, like, for people to even know what I'd gone through was humiliating. And that was probably the biggest trigger in my life I ever had to embrace and heal. It was one of those ones where we go through healing, and sometimes it gets emotional, and sometimes it's a little more emotional, and sometimes it's a little less emotional. But I remember working on that one, and it was like that endless crying. What was Jules said, like snot flying, like it was I didn't even realize that this thing that I didn't even think was part of my life was one of my biggest triggers. So it's incredible what we find out about ourselves. And what I really love about this awakening and this remembrance that we're going through is that all of the humanity is starting to go through now, is that one day we will be able to pass away from this life and transition in a space of, I know who I am. When in our past, so many people have transitioned from this life never really having an idea of who they are, just who they've always thought that they should be, or people wanted them to be, or what was expected of them, but never ever who they really were, and even knew who that person was. And what a way to go in this life, is to never even be able to touch the jewel that you are. That's thank you for sharing all of that, Gail. That was amazing, and it just sort of brought all that up for me. But thank you. Dagmara, what is your favorite strategies or tips to share with people?
Thank you. I think they're very much related to what you've just said, and Gail. Like, I can so relate to both of your stories and the pieces of advice that you've given. So mine, which is the end line of my chapter, is that there is no more divorcing of myself and pretending to be anything other than myself for the sake of any type of external validation. So that's the advice. That's, I would say, it's like a foundation of all the work that I do with my clients, and I think something that I also try to do in everyday life in my friendships is just facilitating being the authentic self that you truly are. And even if we did experience abuse in childhood, like I think all of us have to a certain degree, or we've had a parent like myself who was emotionally unavailable and expected me to constantly achieve in order to be loved. I think we all have that. However, in the method that I work with, which is called Theta Healing, there is one of the ideas is that whatever we went through, our soul chose it for a reason. And I know that it can sound harsh at first, and it did sound when I got to know the method when after my divorce, and I was still dealing with trying to release the energy the box or the cage that I felt I was in, despite 4 or 5 months past the divorce. And the facilitator told me, well, how are you benefiting from holding on to this cage still? And I was like, I just wanted to shout, what do you mean? I'm in pain. I don't want to have it anymore. And you think there's a benefit? Well, surely there was. And in the session, I found out like why my soul chose to go through that toxic marriage, and how basically it was all about me discovering who I truly am, the authentic me. And as all of you said, so the traumatic experience has led to a huge turning point in my life, and I've learned to heal the trauma. And my message is that it is possible to heal the trauma, the shame, whatever we're holding on to. And then my advice is to learn new tools, new methods of how to communicate in a way that is so much more compassionate, authentic, and from heart to heart, so that we can express who we truly are, and then start surrounding ourselves with people who are more aligned with us, but also how to communicate more healthily with whoever is around us. So my message is that it is possible, and it is possible to heal. It is possible to learn new ways of communicating, and then be truly you without ever divorcing a part of you, because that's never going to work.
Thank you. You're right.
Thank you.
Yeah. The more you try to, I love the word divorce from yourself. The more you try to do that, the more it's up in your face. So
Yes.
you absolutely have to deal with it. Thank you so much for that,
Yes.
Dagmara. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Hillis, you said so much in the last round, and I'd love to hear what other little jewels you have for us.
Well, alrighty then. A follow-up to what the chapter was about that I wrote about the roll with it muscle. Something that, and until we started to write when I started writing this chapter, I didn't realize the wonderful gift that I took for granted of not being able to figure it out or quitting was an option. That was always off the table for me. It's just been that way that I honestly can't even go back to remember when there was a time that actually was an option. They talked about in the chapter is that I was the only child. I didn't have those folks around me, brothers and sisters, to walk me through how to do stuff or figure things out. It was just me needing to figure it out, and not being able to do it wasn't an option. And so it takes a lot of stress out of the equation for me when I take that off of the table, or that it's an option to fail or not figure something out. If we give ourselves that grace to not have that as one of our options, that I'm going to make it through. I just need to figure out how. I'm going to start this new life. I'm going to start this new regiment. I'm going to have a different relationship. Whatever it is, if we identify the thing that's the most hindering, or that's putting us into a box or limiting, if we take that out of the equation, that it does not get a voice, it is on permanent mute, if you will, that gives us the assumption that we're going to be on the other side of whatever that is. Me not making it or me not getting to tomorrow is not an option. So how I'm getting there, when I'm getting there, the details of doing it all, that's the focus. That's where I want to be. I want to be in it. So when I ask folks and I make sure that we are really looking at, is that an option of you moving, or is it an option really for you to go through a divorce? It's really incredible to watch from an energetic perspective to see when somebody takes that in and they probably never even knew to ask that question, then they begin a new process of evaluating what is it that I'm willing to entertain. Then, if that is not on the table, me not making it through this situation, this trauma, I am only on the journey to find peace, joy, wellness, grace, all of those things. It's so much more of a even playing field. And so if the thing that we're looking at is, I don't know if I can do it, well, that's probably the only thing we're going to find is that we probably can't do it. And we're going to find more validation of why we can't do it. So stop that dialogue. That's the thing that I really hone in on the folks that we get to work with in whatever arena that is. But also I do the same for me of what vocabulary am I attaching to my script that is a limiting, that keeps us into a certain lane or not allowing all of the possibilities to come forward. So that's something that I would really love for everyone that's going through any time that is challenging right now, or in those huge, big, epic moments also. What are the options that I need to get rid of so that I can get much more laser focused on how is it that I'm going to be on the other side, and who is that person going to be when I am there at the end of this, in the rearview mirror, and I'm better for it. That's I love when people get that moment and they give themselves the permission to start asking those questions, and that usually can begin a massive pivotal point in our life of aligning with wellness.
Thank you, Dave. You know how much I love questions. Questions are awesome. So thank you for sharing that. Right. If you take the end result, like I'm divorcing or I'm ending my life or whatever, off the table as an option, what other possibilities would be open for you? It's a great way to think about it, because sometimes we take the easy, not that those are easy, they're not, but we look at them as a solution, and maybe there's other solutions. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Dave. Thank you so much. Desiree.
Hey there.
Hey.
I had an evil thought go through my head when I thought other solutions. Well, let's see, there's murder, but that was not a good one. I personally chose divorce. This is really interesting hearing everyone and finding there's always this common thread. And it's interesting that much of the common thread here was relationships with a loved one that challenged us and broke us down, and then took us to that point where we built ourselves back up even better. I just am resonating so much with what everyone's saying here. And if it's okay with you, for the listeners, I did write a book individually before this, and it was about my journey. And I have a short poem that reminds me so much of, that was about my marriage. Is it okay if I share that? Oh, you're
Please,
muted.
Denise, please, Denise, because today in Great Britain we celebrate National Poetry National Day.
Oh,
So
really?
it's absolutely perfect. It's such
Okay.
a beautiful alignment.
Somewhere in my higher self must have known that. It's called Breaking Free. How pretty is your castle's cage? What color are the bars? How lovely is your prison's perch that only swings so far? How often do you clip your wings to keep you safe inside? If you say you're happy there, is it true that you have lied? Where will you be in 10 years hence? How will your heart survive? Inside a prison filled with things, but nothing left alive. That was about being trapped in an unhappy marriage.
So good.
Thank
That's
you.
great. Thank you, Desiree, for sharing that.
And like I said, I just feel that resonance with a lot of people talking about making that choice and how difficult it was. But really, once you make the choice, it's a huge freedom to just make the choice. Just say, I'm making the choice.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for
you. Yeah.
Miss Olivia.
Thank you so much. I don't know how to tell you how excited I am to hear everyone's sharing. And I knew they were all great, but now they just like kicked it up to awesome plus plus plus. So I know you wanted us to share some thoughts that and tips. This is what I think. I hope it helps some of you. One, have grace for yourself. Forgive yourself and others. It is the biggest gift you can give. Ask for help. It moves you forward. Become aware of what tires you, what excites you, so you can choose more of what you want and release what does not serve you. Focus on solutions. Find friends to celebrate and friends that will celebrate you exactly as you are, and know you are worth it and everything is possible. And that's basically what I want to share. And I also want to share that besides journaling, one of the things that I love about being not just with all these authors, but being on IAUSM is the opportunity to co-collaborate with such wonderful people. I'm doing a course with Monique on journaling and tapping, EFT. I hope to be doing a co-collaboration with Gail on branding. I just love journaling and I love co-collaborating, and I love the fact that all these people on here are an opportunity for us to share our message. And I think sharing the message is great, but when people journal, they get awareness. So I guess that would be my last tip. If you haven't journaled, consider journaling. It's going to give you more gifts than you can possibly imagine. And so thank you so much for this opportunity to share and be here. And thank you, Dr. Marina, for putting all of this together.
Thank you, Olivia. That was amazing. That's probably the end of our sharing today as the authors of From Bottom to Top. I'm super excited for everything that we've done today and all of the great content and sharing and love that we've shared with each other. And I guess the biggest thing for me is unconditioning the conditioning. I've been saying that a lot over the last month, is unconditioning the conditioning. We've been conditioned for a millennia, forever, to be a certain way. And we have been made to believe that this is the way that it is, but it's so not. I sat there the other night going, wow, for so long we thought that this was the way to live, and we've been lied to. Nobody did it on purpose. It's just what happened. I no longer want to live in that lie, and I'm creating my own truth. And so are all of the mentors inside of IAWSM. We're creating our own truth, as so many are around the world. So I just love the idea of collaboration, everything that we've been doing together in this cohesive individuation of IAWSM. So thank you so much, all of you. And I would like to speak with Dr. Marina right now and just say to you, thank you so much for giving us this platform. And we'd like to hear from you now.
Wow, I am a professional listener. I'm no speaker, but I was thinking a lot about what everybody said. And you see, it's a little bit more than just courage. I'm not quite sure what it is. But at first I thought it's just tremendous courage. And now I'm thinking, wow, this is something I never encountered before. I'm very curious what this is taking us into. It's like an enchanted territory. I'm really, really curious because I think definitely is going to be another book. I know it's too early to even mention it. You need to recover first, like after every time something so beautiful comes out. And I wanted to mention all the authors. I will feel connected with them if I mention them.
If you mention them,
Yes, I would love to mention all the authors. I know some couldn't make it. Is that correct, right?
yeah, some couldn't make it. And we actually last minute, this book has been, like I said,
Yes, of
Has
course.
been a journey, and we had to actually switch out some chapters in the end, and we already are halfway through volume 2 already of this, which is great. So yes, there is a lovely lady named Julianne Cunningham, and she has a chapter called From Out of the Darkness, and that is like it's an incredible chapter. Another wonderful IAUSM mentor, Cynthia Jordan, who has written a chapter called Spinach Enchiladas, so is an amazing chapter in itself as well. We have Joanne Gramlich. It's about finding your passion. So she has also written an amazing chapter. Kathy Homeyer, Life's Web Strings. Jackie Simmons, who has also done a TED talk about this, about suicide in itself, your family's suicide risk. And there was one thing that she said in her TED talks before I move further that floored me, that I didn't even realize until she said it, was every time somebody commits suicide, it's at least 1,000 people who are affected by it, because it's not just your family, your immediate family, it's your extended family, it's your friends, it's your friends of friends, it's the people who knew that person who are affected. So every time somebody takes their life, it's just thousands of people who are affected by it. And if we see that suicide has tripled now, thousands of people all over the world are being affected by that decision, by that choice. Heidi Schalk, From Broken and Divorced to Creating My Dream Life. We have Graham Douglas, Overcoming Death. We have D.H. Olson, Dylan Olson, Being is Becoming. We have Kelly Melissa Hansen, who actually does run a suicide prevention charity, Make Mental Health Matter. Tracy M. Lip, called Tinker. Rogerio dos Santos, Discovering My Blueprints. He does a lot of human design work. Human design actually saved him. And Micah Edwards, Choosing Yourself First. And we're already halfway through putting volume 2 together. Yes, thank you for saying that, and thank you for giving us a moment to acknowledge the other authors in this book.
Wow, this is really what I see in a book series. Your courage shows me again that there is a lot more. This is just the beginning of this amazing journey into serendipity. And I have to say this, every single story in this book is reminding me of one very simple truth. Every author holds something truly, truly remarkable, something that nobody can steal, nobody can take away from them, and that is their own light. I feel that um, almost sitting like around this imaginary campfire and sharing their story to inspire people. For a long time, we believe that a story must have a beginning, a middle, and the end. I always believe that there is no end to a story, right? When a story is shared or told or read, it's no end to it, right? Then there is another aspect of the story. People think, okay, you are emotionally connected. It's an emotional connection. There are studies proving there is a physical connection between the storyteller and the reader or the listener. There are changes on your brain that actually creates a physical connection between the storyteller and the listener. It's almost like when you travel by plane and you arrive in London at night, you see all the lights switched on, right? From this darkness you've been flying into, and then suddenly it's all this light that it's so beautiful. This is what happens in our brains when we listen to a story. I want to thank everyone for that ability to go back into their past, into that dark alley, to meet your old self, your younger self, and having the courage to understand how long you walked into your destiny. Not many people have that courage to go back into their past. Most people try to put it in the drawer somewhere and lock it. Congratulations again. I think definitely this is just the beginning of the book series. Very humble to know you, each one of you. This book is out, ready to help other people, raise awareness. Congratulations. Everyone here is completing each other in such a beautiful way. Aisha, you are absolutely fabulous.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll let everyone know when it's published and they're able to get it. What a journey in learning for sure. And thank you so much for all of your kind words, Dr. Marina. And I love the visual of us all sitting around a campfire. I could absolutely see that if that's something that we were able to do from around the world. So I love that. And yeah, for like I said, we're working through volume 2. So if anyone has a story to tell, we'd love to be a platform for you to tell that story so that you can help so many others. Sometimes I think of this book as those books that some authors write, and you just open the book to a page and there's your message that day. And I feel like our book might be just that as well. You open it to a chapter and it's going to have an amazing message for you. So thank you again, and thank you for this celebration of our pre-launch, and thank you all for listening and the authors for sharing, and I'm very grateful for all that we're doing together.
We still have a few minutes of this
Yes?
session. It has been a really powerful share this afternoon. So
Yes.
I would just like you to very briefly let our listeners know, how can they be a part of this movement? How can they be, whether they want to be a mentor that shares their message or a student supported on their way to their true self-mastery? How can they connect with you and IAUSM?
All right. At the top of the page, you'll see that there is our link to the IAWSM community. For students, it's free. It's request free access. Come in, read the values of our community. We do have some boundaries and values. Please do come in and take part in everything. It's not just a place to take courses. It's not that. It's a community, just like Facebook. There's a whole sharing community, and our teachers are very present in that. Our mentors are very much available for you. And if you are a mentor, if you are someone who is interested in being a mentor, then when you go to our site, there is on the menu bar, there's something called Become a Mentor. It does talk to you about all the values and benefits of being part of this IAWSM body. And we do ask you to fill out an application. There is a qualifying questionnaire. And the reason why we have that is because not everybody's in a space of sharing. Not everybody remembers their passion. Some people get really, really tied up in how much can I sell? How many people can I get? How many followers can I get? That they have forgotten their passion, their why they even started doing what they're doing. And we want to make sure that our IAWSM mentors remember their why, that they are bringing that passion, that they are bringing their heart. And it's not about how much can I sell, because that will happen. It's more about how much can I share? How can I help to be a part of this? So if you are someone like that, then we would definitely want to hear from you and have you join us. IAWSM is her own entity, and that each one of us is a cell or an organ in her body, and we all speak together as one voice. We're stronger together than we are apart. What I've seen transpire has shown us, like, I even had to learn what collaboration meant. Collaboration is such a beautiful word, and at the beginning I loved it 2 years ago, but what collaboration meant to me 2 years ago and what it means to me now are two completely different things. It's a nice fluffy word, but what does it mean to collaborate? What does it mean to work together? What does it mean to support each other and to refer each other and to be a part of each other's lives, and not just a whole bunch of facilitators on one site? It's about, we are together like a family. We work as one unit. We help each other. And that's really what IAWSM is about. If you want to be a part of something like that, then please do reach out to me either through Clubhouse. You can send me a message, or you can come straight into IAWSM as a student at first and message me through there. Everyone's welcome in IAWSM. Thank you, Gail, for reminding me of that, to say all that.
Thank you, Aisha, for sharing that information with us.
Whew, what a day. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Dr. Marina, I heard, I gave you the book last week so that you would write the foreword, which you did immediately. And then I heard about the baby shower, and we put this together like in 4 days. And sometimes getting people together and out of their lives, it's sometimes, we've been calling it herding cats. So sometimes it's like getting everybody together and in the same space. is a little bit of work, but we did it, and we did it successfully, and we did it with some of our amazing authors. So thank you for giving us this platform to pre-share our pre-launch of our book. And I just love you, and I'm so glad that I was introduced to you.
Wow, congratulations again. We can't even imagine how much more there is ahead of us and how many times we are going to remember this campfire tonight and or afternoon, whatever the time might be locally. But I really see us connecting with all the people who need to hear that unique message. I found your courage very, very inspiring. Congratulations, everyone. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Now you've done it once, you can do it 100 times. It's just a matter of how far you want all to go.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Gail, you have something that you would like to add?
No, I'm good, thank you. I'm very good. I just want to be honest, actually, there is one thing, because you have been so humble in giving everyone their space this afternoon. And of course, rightly thanking Dr. Marina for this space. But I would like to honour you, Aisha, because without your vision and without your drive as well, and that real persistence, so you've got a real tenacity about you. And without that, I know the ups and downs that you've had with bringing IAUSM to life. I've witnessed it. I've been right there on the front seat with you over the past year. And I know even before then, you had your trials and tribulations, bringing it, just giving it life. And you've done that. And now you can see it forming. You've got this amazing book, which is about to hit the shelves, that's offering hope to people. You've built this real interactive community. And like you say, collaboration means something very different to you today than it did 2 years ago. But the collaborations that you're forming and that you're facilitating are really powerful collaborations. They're deep rooted connections which are flourishing now into relationships. You're on the other side of the world to me. We've never met physically. You're based in Canada and I'm here in London in the UK. But you have become like a true soul sister to me through the flourishing of our relationship, which I know others have also experienced. So it would be remiss of us to leave this stage today without honoring you and giving you your flowers, because without you, we wouldn't be here. We would not be here. So I would just like to applaud that tenacity and let you know just how much you are appreciated, not just by me, not just by the rest of the dream team. I know definitely by all of our mentors, those that are in the book and those that are not in the book, and certainly by all of our community as well. So thank you, Ms. Aisha Hogan.
You've got me crying, Gail.
Again,
Thank you.
again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I don't even know what to say. Thank you for saying that.
Well, I would say something. I would say something. I think everybody should find time and listen to your interview, which was the first of the Daringly Awesome podcast series, because that interview is mind blowing. Listening to that interview is how I seen everything that is happening now and a lot more that I seen in a beautiful future. That interview with Gail, I never published the question and answer session, but I just couldn't help myself and we said, okay, let's do this once. That interview, it is really something that everybody must listen, is very powerful. And I listened to so many interviews, so many stories. I remember each one of them, but that interview is something else. Everybody, when you have the chance, listen in, because there is a lot you will see the same way I seen it. So, human voice is very unique and brings along certain nuances that otherwise you can't capture. Please listen to Daringly Awesome episode number 1.
Thank you. That was a good one. Thank you so much again, Dr. Marina. Thank you all. Thank you for acknowledging. Thank you for, I don't even know what to say. It's so funny. The other day, somebody came here, and I'll just end this because I know we're almost done here. She came and she said, Aisha, I said to somebody the other day, it's not about doing, it's about being. And they stood there with their mouth wide open. Oh, that's so profound. That's such an amazing thing that you said. And she said, I just thought everybody knew that. And I think that's how I live my life so much, is that the way that I live it, I don't think that I'm doing anything. I'm just doing, I'm just being the best version of myself. And whoever sees that, sees that. And I guess I get in this space where I don't realize until this moment, wow, I guess I did do that. I guess I did put that together. I did that. And it affected people like
Yes, you
how?
did.
And it's amazing me right now just listening to this.
It's really beautiful. I think we all got to realize that our to-do list is being reduced to one item to be, and that's it. That's it. We are aware of our commitments and our role in our families, in our communities. The only way is to be. Took me a while. I had to retire first. I was 51 years old when I retired, but now I'm 60 years young. It just shows the difference when you take a different perspective. Self-perception is very easy to change and takes very little. It's just constant support and constant moving, keep moving. Yes, wonderful. Beautiful session. Congratulations on the book title. Congratulations on the celebrations that are coming very soon. And big congratulations on getting into the second book of the series. Oh my God. That's really, that's impressive. Very good. That's very impressive.
Thank you again, everyone. Big love.
Wow.
Mwah.
Lots of love, lots of love. You absolutely deserve it. We are moving into the next session. It's one of our traditional sessions sponsored by our amazing book editor, Denise, broadcasting from Italy.
This episode is sponsored by MTN Press. MTN Press is the publishing house behind niche publications like Rich Human, Sovereign, and the Quantum of Light magazines, all British brands with a global reach. They deliver the good news straight to the desk of decision makers, the CEOs, presidents, CFOs, consultants, investors, influencers, bankers, PR agencies, heads of global operations, to name just a few. They also offer specialized support through a range of bespoke services, tools, and systems to help publishers like you grow both their presence and business. Whether you are running a blog, a niche magazine, or thinking to start one, their expert knowledge in the world of publishing can give you the tools and the expertise and the confidence you need to succeed. Check them out at mtnpress.co.uk or follow the link in the episode description.